What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Battle Central Europe Season 3. We are still in the winner's bracket. We have Komanda going up against Moscow 5 International in a best of 3 to decide who goes to losers and who gets to move on. Here on HeflaTV Hitbox 1, we're going to be bringing you this game and the following of Denial versus Moscow 5 a little bit later on in the day. I'm Mike Loris. I have Grandis here as well. Man, I'm so excited to see Komanda again. They have impressed me so much in this tournament.
I actually didn't have the pleasure of watching them, as the group that I was casting during that time was exactly where they were not playing, so I'm also excited to see them play, although I don't have any frame of reference.
Alright, well, I think the highlight of Komanda, and I don't want to take anything away from anyone else, but Kekoni plays a mean TA and he plays a mean Wind Ranger, and that was just disgusting to see. But Moscow 5 Screen Squad, Screen Squad with PGG, one of the most exciting teams to watch as well, just because they're not scared of busting out some weird strategies. Tusk is their bread and butter. It's probably the only team that will consistently pick them up. So, man, this is probably going to be one of the more exciting best of threes. And hopefully it's even. If it's 2-0, that's fine if it's exciting.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. As for the draft right now, we're going to see Komanda start out with the Puck as well as Vengeful Spirit combination, and Jakiro is the choice for Moscow 5. We've already seen previously in this tournament the Swap plus Dreamcool combination to guarantee stuns through BKB, especially once you have that Aghanim Scepter on the Puck. And even before then, just snapping the Quill guaranteed is pretty nice to do.
Yeah, it's a brutal combination, and it's a pretty unique combination. There are not many heroes that can very easily do that, as Vengeful Spirit's just a point click and you get it, as opposed to someone like a Keeper of the Light, who you'll have to work a lot harder, or Force Staff, which sometimes wouldn't work, stuff like that. And, well, Puck is just a hero that we've seen, I think, probably the most in this tournament. I feel like every single game, Puck is picked up. So, a very powerful hero, a very elusive hero. But Moscow 5 going to start off with another pretty big powerhouse in the Jakiro. With Razor still in the pool, maybe they want to pick that one up as well and try to lock down the mid game, but I mean, they clearly just want the Jakiro, and that's all of their game plan so far, because they're taking quite a bit of time in deciding their second pick.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as heroes to instant luck, Jakiro's a pretty good one. Liquid Fire is always pretty great, and Jakiro's going to offer something in the team fight throughout the game. Although he scales off, just ensuring to get those tier 1 towers is pretty nice. Instead of going for the Razor, they'll pick up the Viper for themselves. Kind of works in a similar fashion to the Razor, although limited in pushing power should win his lane.
Yeah, so Viper versus maybe even Puck for Komanda if they do go in that direction. Probably isn't going to be the best time for Puck, but it's not going to be the worst time either. Komanda, they already have a little bit of initiation with this Puck, and that's really what you want if you're going to be facing up against Liquid Fire Push. You want to just say, screw all of that, we're just going to jump on you and start a team fight. But Jakiro, Viper, two of the more tanky dragons in the game, so maybe Komanda are going to need a little bit more damage moving forward. They do have two range heroes, however, Moscow 5 banning out Drow Ranger in the first phase, which is something you really don't see that often unless the other teams, or unless the team knows, the teams know each other and they're familiar with their draft style. So Komanda would have worked out pretty well given what they have so far, but unfortunately it's not going to happen.
Yeah, even without the Drow, it's still a pretty decent amount of damage between those two heroes, so nice control, and it can still work. But under normal circumstances, that would always be a consideration. Can we pick up the Visage Drow here? And usually you would, but Moscow 5 are going to take preemptive measures up against that. Slark's going to be banned out, probably the most popular carry, at least in this tournament. A lot of teams seem to be favoring very heavily, and now Slark are banned by Moscow 5. Very interesting. A lot of minus armor hate coming out from them in the second stage, with Elder Titan also taken away.
Yeah, this is pretty much most of the minus armor heroes being out of the pool. Razor's still in, but I don't know if he's going to be in for much longer. I mean, Komanda have one minus armor tool so far in that Wave of Terror, but though it would be great to synergize that with Amplified Damage and Natural Order and a Gush, that just isn't going to happen this game. So Komanda, they have to go for a completely different niche strategy if they do want to go for something very, very strange. And I wouldn't put it past them to go for something that is that strange, but Moscow 5, these are not the bans that you would ordinarily see against just a team that you don't know. So they're definitely respecting the potential for Komanda to get all of this value out of minus armor. Whereas for Komanda, the ban on Slark is a very safe ban. It's a very common ban as well in the second ban phase.
Undying, however, isn't. Komanda, it seems that they really want to buckle down the early game and ensure that they have supremacy, maybe deciding to go aggressive themselves.
That is certainly a possibility. They have Vengeful Spirit already, who's one of the better aggressive heroes. Ogre Magi still in the pool, and That is a hero that Moscow 5 International would be more than happy to pick up, given the heroes right now and just given their past playstyle. So either Ogre Magi as a pick for Komanda Minus to lock down the early game, or a Skywrath Mage, either of which would just do fantastically in their lineup so far, and at the same time deny those two powerhouse, or one of the two powerhouse supports to the other team. So I would expect them to pick one of those two heroes up. I don't think there's another support hero that really screams to be picked up right here.
Fair enough. I wouldn't be surprised if they went for something out of the box, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that would be. For Moscow 5, the Tusk is already looking pretty good here up against the puck. Having that counter initiation tool could be very useful for them, and maybe Moscow 5 are going to bring that out, and I wouldn't put it past him. It is available in the pool.
Yeah, and it could be played very aggressively, or it could be played very defensively. Given what Moscow 5 want with the Jakiro already in their team, they probably would want to play a little bit more of an aggressive Tusk, get a little bit more snowball ice shards, and then go and try kill things. And Komanda Minus, they are not too tanky, so a Tusk landing some shards could very easily get a kill. And now with the Skywrath Mage as the pickup, the Tusk is looking better and better, because ordinarily not a high damage hero, but up against such soft heroes, then your Walrus Punch is going to be hurting.
Definitely, and I'm not sure if it's going to show its face here, but later on in the draft, I think it's definitely a consideration for them. They're probably still lacking a handful of cores, and available in the pool, Centaur is probably one of the more solid ones that's there, so maybe we'll see him picked up by Moscow 5.
I think just getting any sort of initiation from Moscow 5 is going to be incredibly useful. Centaur seems like a pretty good one, because again, Komanda Minus are so soft. So if you get someone who can do so much magic damage, then why not do that? Right now they have a good amount of damage, mostly in dots, but you could always mix in a little bit of burst, and because Komanda Minus have already picked their two supports, Moscow 5 don't have to worry about any more supports being, I guess, stolen from them by Komanda Minus.
Yeah, more than likely. You can run a Corvenge or a mid-Skywrath Mage, but it's safe to assume that those are played as supports right now, and it's a pretty good supporting duo with that. They could, in theory, allow Puck to win his lane if they gank the Viper once or twice inside this game, but Moscow 5, they're going to go for a Lion, a support that we're not accustomed to seeing, but all around is pretty solid, with a lot of lockdown between Hex and Earth Spike, and then just the burst damage. Finger of Death's going to get a lot of usage this game. Up against Skywrath Mage, Venge, and Puck, that Finger of Death is almost a one-shot kill.
Yeah, again, very soft heroes, and against a Puck, having a point-click disable is something that's very desired. I mean, Skywrath Mage is usually the one to do it. Ogre Magi still has a point-click disable, although it does come out a lot slower than the likes of Hex. Hex is pretty much the best thing you could pick up if you are up against anyone with a blink or an invisibility skill, something like that, just because it's instant. So, yeah, it's not the most common pickup for sure, but I mean, as far as damage is concerned, it is one of the higher damage support heroes.
Yeah, in that sense, I like it. There's hardly a time where you're going to really regret picking up a Lion. You definitely want to be aggressive every time you have Finger, but worst case scenario, you have two disables from the hero, and that's a pretty good worst case scenario to be in. Komanda Minus running very low on reserve time, and as our Moscow 5, they're going to pick up a Magnus, a lot of control as well as damage boosting for whatever carry they pick up. But Komanda Minus, it feels like they really need some sort of smashy safe lane farmer.
Yeah, something like a Medusa seems pretty decent here, although Lion already does have mana drain, and I don't know if you want to be drafting a Medusa into that. Picking up a melee hero is obviously a little bit preferable, because you do get the cleave from Empower as opposed to just the damage, but I usually don't see Mag picked up like this unless they already have a hero who could make use of the Empower. Moscow 5, they're going to take precautions, of course, and it's going to be very now unlikely that Komanda Minus pick up a Medusa. Just being up against Mana Burn and Mana Drain, it's a little bit too much. So, I mean, they could still pick up any other hero and get some serious value out of Empower, but Nyx Assassin as the pick for Moscow 5. They might run this as the secondary support, and that's quite a bit of damage and quite a bit of stunning.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to do that. I think this is just going to be an offlane Nyx Assassin, but either way, I don't think it really matters. For Moscow 5, I'd like to see them ban out the Ember Spirit, because it just feels that they're really well equipped to deal with the Medusa, and even though they have some lockdown for the Ember Spirit, the damage and cleave they'd be able to put out is pretty scary, and I think scarier than the Medusa when you already have two great tools to deal with their mana pool.
Yeah, I think that would probably benefit them a little bit more. Just say, okay, if you want to pick up a Medusa, sure, we have all the answers in the game, bar an Anti-Mage, and if they really want to go for an Anti-Mage, then they could probably get an Anti-Mage. So it's not going to be a smart pickup for Komanda Minus. It's going to be incredibly bold if they do decide to go for it. Now, I think Faceless Void is kind of along the same lines. It's a hero that can make use of the Empower, and it's a hero that Moscow 5, although they can deal with because they have so much lockdown, it's something that is just probably easier to ban out than to try to deal with it. So I think it's a very similar ban to the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And if you do have Cronus for RP and Dreamcoil, losing teamfights is going to be really difficult unless you get picked off beforehand. And up against Moscow 5, that's a possibility, especially with Nyx Assassin roaming around. But it's going to be a PA for Komanda Minus. Another hero that's going to benefit very heavily from that cleave. Once you get to BKB, roaming pretty freely through the teamfights is going to be easy for this PA. But before then, she's probably going to have a pretty hard time.
Yeah, going up against Viper and all the slows from Jakiro, and of course a whole bunch of stuns from Lion and Nyx, and always the threat of getting critted upon by the Spike Carapace is never really fun times for the Phantom Assassin. That being said, they do still have just so many ways of being aggressive early on, and Phantom Assassin can help out in those ganks just with Stifling Dagger alone. So Komanda Minus their Phantom Assassin I expect is going to have a rough time, but she can redeem most of that if she does well in lane, and that's certainly a possibility. Last pick for Moscow 5, going to be a Lycan, and they don't really have that much pushing power, or their supports aren't really screaming pushing power, but because they picked up the Jakiro first, and now the Lycan last, they can take towers pretty easily, and Komanda Minus, they have a couple tools to deal with this, but they're definitely going to be losing a couple towers.
Yeah, and those towers are going to fall before the Blink Daggers come for the Magnus and the Puck, and that's really when Komanda Minus need to start making things happen, and we'll just have to see if Moscow 5 are going to be able to put that early gold to use. As for the Nyx Assassin and how he's going to be played, it looks like it's going to be a support, as you said earlier. PGG's picked him up now, unless we have swaps later on the line.
Yeah, it's possible to swap it out, but, I mean, you're probably not going to be running a support Jakiro right this instant, just because you have picked up a Lycan. So you want your Jakiro to get as many levels as possible. You want him to get juiced up in gold, and just be able to lay the hurt down on whoever he actually runs into. But we are in the game, guys. Game 1 in the best of 3. And let's see who is going to be playing what on the Moscow 5 international side. Bignum is going to be heading to the north lane as the Jakiro. Mid lane is going to be handled by Necroman on Lycan. And over towards bottom, we got Screen on the Lion, ZXC on the Viper, and PGG on the Nyx Assassin with a lot of regen to start out with.
And on the Dire side, we are going to have Komanda Minus with their safe lane being handled by Insolent on the Phantom Assassin, supported by Scath Mage, played by Pure Evil, and Vengeful Spirit by Poison. Mid lane, we're going to have Kikoni playing on the Magnus, leaving last but not least offlane Puck, played by Hawkeye.
Alright, so Hawkeye going up against a instant disable of the Hex of Screen. Not going to have the best of times, and hell, even if the supports, or even if the support wasn't in this lane, then the Viper should have a decent time regardless, so I don't expect Hawkeye to get the most out of this lane. Maybe a little bit of experience here and there, but for the most part, he's going to be kept down. But at the same time, because of this situation, it seems like the Nyx Assassin is going to be going to the top lane with the Jakiro, and up against a tri lane of this caliber, that is a very tall order for them to come out ahead.
Okay, well, it looks like the ping is fine, at least for everybody inside the game. I just checked it. It's not incredibly high. It's not great either, but we're not dealing with packet loss. Let's see. There's not any spikes now. I think we can try playing, and hopefully that fixes it, but if not, I suppose we'll just have to remake.
Man, everyone was here, or like 9 people were here in the lobby, like 15 minutes before the game was supposed to start. But then here we are, just, you know, this late because, of course. Alright, are we going to try it? Let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? Lion's not that hard to play. You just press Hex and then, you know. Oh, or we reconnect. Okay.
Very well.
It's one of those games then. Goal's going to be coming out. Should be fun times, although I don't really know how much I would trust an ally with Oracle.
No, I would be mortified. He's going to be terrible to play against and terrible to play with.
Yeah, it's one of those heroes that whenever the enemy has it, it's like, oh my god, this hero is imbalanced. And whenever your ally has it, it's like it's being piloted by a 2-year-old kitten.
Yeah, he's going to forget to cast W on you before he drops the Purifying Flames, kills you in the middle of the team fight.
There was no magic damage there. What are you doing? Stop. Ugh. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but who knows? Oracle players are going to be Oracle players, right? And I haven't played it yet, so that should be interesting. But regardless, we're loading back into our game, and It looks like, for the most part, the loadouts are all the same. I didn't look at everyone, but nothing looks too strange right now.
Yeah, I think this is about exactly the same as what we've already seen. The early wards coming out from both sides up and top, but a successful D ward comes out from Komanda minus, denying Jakiro. That lane vision is going to be really annoying, and I think it's just screen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really just feeling it. The pings looked fine when I checked them in the console, and not sure what's up.
I mean, if you can't go Lux, if you can't go stock, then what are you going to do? You don't have many options. Bottom lane, Hawkeye is going to grab a regeneration rune, and we clearly see how well that's going to work out for him. He does have support coming in Poison and Pure Evil, though. This is a very early smoke gank. Killing off Lion is extremely easy. Very slow hero, very weak hero, and they do have quite a bit of magic damage. They're going to know about where the Lion is right now, but so far they are both hidden. Pure Evil and Poison just going to wait a little while. Screen is going to see that they're there because he sees the camp is blocked, but he will run into them regardless. Magic Missile to start things off. Now firing the Arcane Bolts. Screen going to try to line up and impale, but there is no good opportunity right here. He's going to land one of the Pure Evil, which is going to die most of the magic damage, but he's still going to go down regardless. Pure Evil draws first blood. Now onto the Viper with another Magic Missile. Hawkeye's Orb already thrown, but they might have enough physical damage to do this. Yes, they will. It's going to be a double kill for Pure Evil, and what a way for Komanda Minus to start this game.
Yeah, I was expecting that to just be the one kill, completely dominating bottom. Even after Hawkeye is forced to use the majority of his regen, doesn't matter now. This puck's gonna have a grand time in this lane, and being helped out very much by his two supports. It is somewhat an aggressive lane going into Insolent, so this Phantom Assassin is not having a great time because of this support rotation, but that's going to be remedied as soon as Vengeful Spirit and Scarlet Mage make their way up towards top. They don't have another smoke between them, or actually they do, no, Poison holding on to another smoke, and it looks like they're ganking mid now.
Yeah, might as well gank wherever you can. These two heroes clearly doing a lot of damage. They need a little bit more for another Magic Missile, and Necroman seems to know what's going on here. The Magnus unfortunately already used a Skewer. I did not see what that was for. And now these two heroes are going to get scouted out by a couple of wolves. So Pure Evil and Poison not going to be able to gank the mid lane. However, they still do have opportunities to gank the bottom lane again. I mean, it was very easy to kill off the Lion, and it was not that much harder to kill off the Viper. This is going to be hurting the Phantom Assassin. Although PA has Stifling Dagger, as good as Jakiro is at handling the lane, he can't harass you, outlast hit you, and out-deny you all at the same time when you're working with Stifling Dagger. So PA should be able to get something up here without any support.
Yeah, she's currently sitting on 7 CS, which is exactly the same as what the Viper is getting in bottom. But now that we have Scarlet Mage and Vengeful Spirit showing their face in lane, it's the Jakiro that needs to be careful, and Phantom Assassin should be able to get some decent farm. Even though PGG is here on the Nyx, he can't really do much unless he lands the Impale of his life.
And here we go. Pure Evil and Poison are going to make some revenge happen for the poor PA, having to deal with Liquid Fire all this time, and now they're going to jump in. PGG does not have Spike Carapace right now. He does have an Impale. There is no Ice Path, however, so PGG is doomed to fall. He's going to land a very nice Impale, but it's not going to matter. Now onto Bignum. Do they have anything else? Stifling Dagger already used, and it looks like they're out of slows for the moment. But it's going to be Pure Evil taking the third kill of this game. Scarlet Mage somehow taking every single last hit there, and well, a very farmed Scarlet Mage means something like a fast Atos if you're getting a lot of gold, and well, that could be devastating should he hit level 6 fast, and with all these kills, that shouldn't be too surprising.
And even just the early Arcane boots for the roaming duo is just going to mean that they're able to stay on the map pretty much constantly. And, I don't know, it's going to be really useful either way. Mana Burn's going to be annoying from PGG. As far as heroes to use Mana Burn at early levels, Scarlet Mage is a pretty good one, but they're going to go for a dive on the puck. One more auto attack from the Viper is almost enough to kill him, but a Salve's going to keep the puck safe under his tier 2 tower.
Ooh, the low damage over time of Poison attack would have potentially killed off the puck if it was just a little bit higher level. Unfortunately, the Viper only level 3, so going for that dive, coming really close, but, you know, close, he doesn't really account for that much. Hawkeye's going to salve back up, and he's going to be just fine. He has to give Screen a lot of respect because it was the Hex that set everything up again. You can't really counterplay against such a fast disable, so he's going to need a little bit of help this puck, and it looks like Pure Evil and Poison are going to answer the call. Vengeful Spirit level 2, Scarlet Mage also level 2. They're going to secure the 4-minute, and it's going to be an invis. Oh, that's what they want to see. Probably for Poison, although taking it... No, they do have a sentry here, so they know that no one's going to see them take it. But they're not going to take it. Okay, I guess there's no point in taking it, since you could probably get it done without that rune. Now the Wolves are going to see that it's still there, so that is actually going to work out very well for them. they just mind game the hell out of Moscow 5 International. Now they're going to go for this Viper. Magic Missile not going to be thrown just yet, but it is still being held. ZXC now going to hit with an orb, and it's going to be him taking the second fall of the game. Man, I'm pretty sure many players would have taken that invis, and then the Wolves would have spotted that something was missing, but that was very well played once again by these Komanda minus supports.
Yeah, I didn't think it would work out exactly like that, but they end up getting the kill on the Viper because of it. Blink up top, coming up from Insolent, he is going to be tagged by an Ice Path as well as a Dual Breath, so ends up taking a little bit more damage than he is dealing. But still, with a little bit of extra regen, dropped to himself on the career 2 salves, as well as a new set of tangos for the PA. Insolent's going to be able to stay in this lane indefinitely as Venge and Scarth make another smoke. Chain smoking throughout this game. Now they find Necroman opening up with the magic missile. Arcane bolts to fly. They're going to block off one of his juke paths inside the woods. Skewer forward by the Magnus, looking for a little bit more damage. And with the RP, they should be able to kill him off. If by nothing else, the Riot Clicks and Vengeful Spirit going to be able to get the clear 0 and 5. These Komanda minus supports have been able to make so much happen on the map wherever they go.
Of course, now because they have been pretty much chain smoking, I'm pretty sure that smoke of deceit is not correct at 3. My screen shows 3, but they've already used like 3, I think, so they should not have any more, let's say. And now they're probably going to be playing a little bit more cautiously, but hey, I mean, 5-6 minutes in and you already have 5 kills in the team, 100% because of these supports, and you're going to be feeling pretty good. In the meantime, Mag slowly leveling up. He's now going to pick up his arcane boots, and he's going to be sitting pretty in the lane, as Lycans normally don't have to leave the lane versus Magnus unless they know that they're in a lot of trouble and they're not having a good time. So Kikoni's holding on to his lane, the supports are holding on to bottom, and Puck, he's getting some pretty good benefits off of this one. He's almost level 6 right now, and up against the Lion and Viper, the level 6 is probably going to be a lot faster than it really should be. It should be up in, well, 7 minutes maximum.
Yeah, and this is also going to mean that they have tools that their other heroes can start using to get kills and just make it that much easier for these supports to roam in and gank. Whenever Pure Evil and the Vengeful Spirit are off of the map, the enemy team needs to be very scared. Hawkeye trying to jaunt out of Fury will be able to get to the low ground, but the auto attacks from Lion are still going to continue bottling up through this. Hawkeye's going to survive at least for now. Magic Missile from Poison is going to keep himself safe. In the meantime, Magnus kills off the Nyx Assassin under his tier 1.
Huh, I guess just Skewer and Shockwave. He didn't have any help there, and Nyx Assassin did have Spike Carapace. I'm assuming it was just Spike Carapace that was mistimed, and he ended up getting killed because of it. But Kikoni getting a solo kill, and unfortunately we didn't get to see how that one actually happened. But still, the Mag is going to be well on his way to his Blink Dagger. Like 1,200 gold with Arcane Boots already completed. That means Shockwaves are going to be spammed out pretty much non-stop, and whoever comes into this lane is going to be feeling the brunt of that. However, Screen is now here along with PGG. Kikoni is going to see this one coming and drop Screen down to like below half. In the meantime, top lane, they go for Bignum. A couple of crits here and there, and the dagger chase is going to be the real deal. Scarth Mage is going to take a dominating streak as he takes his 4th kill of the game. Oh, mid lane, Skewer forward. Kikoni's going to snag Lion, but he will pay for it with his life. I guess sometimes you just got to go for those types of things, but it is going to be a 1-for-1 over towards mid, but still killing off a Jakiro up on top, who's been having a very good time, makes it pretty decent for Komanda minus.
Yeah, Magnus still gets a net gain of gold after that kill, so not all is lost. More than anything, it's a little bit of a comeback mechanism for Lycanthrope, just getting that extra gold towards his Vladimir's offering. Still, Mag is well on his way towards a very fast blink in Arcane Boots, probably going to have that completed at 11 minutes at the latest, if he keeps up this farming rate. Now Hawkeye, as well as Poison, are grouped up and potentially looking for a kill, as the pressure on mid-tier 1 is going to be relieved after Shockwave comes out from the Magnus. The Puck, as well as the Venge, haven't found anything in the jungle just yet, and I think they might have bumped into Screen here.
No, I think they were just spotted by an Observer Ward. PGG pinged them out, I believe, and yeah, he definitely knows what's going on. So Hawkeye Poison shouldn't be finding anyone towards mid. However, if Screen sticks around in this area, then level 4 Lion is not going to be too safe, but yeah, it looks like everyone is going to back off from that lane, and we're going to have a little bit more of a passive stage, but Insolent's getting quite a bit of farm, in fact. On near the top of the last hit chart, Magnus is, not surprisingly, at the top of the net worth. PGG would now, with a Vendetta level up, is going to try to look for an opening up towards top lane, but unless he actually finds Pure Evil, that's not going to happen, and that involves a tower dive, and that is something that Komanda minus can easily respond to. So first Vendetta used, and it is not going to result into anything.
Yeah, PGG is going to fall back out of this lane. Poison and Pure Evil are both here on top of it, so if they decide to try to dive the Phantom Assassin, there is that potential that PGG just ends up giving up his own life. Magnus has RP available again, so Kikoni does have some potential to get some kills of his own, but for now, the Vengeful Spirit and the Skyrath Mage are slowing down as far as the momentum is concerned. Still 4-0-2 on the Skyrath Mage, already at pretty much everything he could want. Kikoni gets his Blink Dagger at 9 minutes and a half.
That's a very curious sentry ward placed. Of course, it does spot out the wolves. I think it's more in preparation of keeping Kikoni's Blink Dagger a secret, just because they know that the wolves are going to be scouting. Now the wolves can no longer scout, and the Blink Dagger is flying out. And PGG, even if he is very, very fast with his Spike Carapace, he does have a Vendetta, but of course sentry ward is there for that as well. So this is going to catch PGG by surprise, and it's just a matter of time before this Blink Dagger comes in. Here we go. Blink Dagger delivered, blink forward, RP, skewer back into the Skyrath Mage, silence before the Carapace can come out, and PGG is a goner. Very well played by Komanda Minus yet again.
It's just a really clean kill, and the first issue of Blink Dagger, making them find that easy pickoff onto the Nyx Assassin. Phantom Assassin, in the meantime, has been farming away. Up in the top lane, Insolent really hasn't been that active. The only kills that have happened around him because of the supports. The tier 1 tower down in bottom is being pressured now by Moscow 5 in, but Kikoni invised up. Might be able to find a good skewer. Triple man Dream Coil is going to land, but now Kikoni's stunned up, although he doesn't know it. Hawkeye's being focused by the Viper with the damage B there onto the backline. Lycan inside his ultimate form, trying to focus down Spears as ZXC gets critted down by the Phantom Assassin. Pure Evil is going to fall to a couple more crits of Necroman himself. Kikoni's still surviving on the backlines as the puck is brought down by the Lion. Scream making a clean TP out. He is going to survive. TP out from the Lycanthrope, also going to live. And in the end, it's a 2-for-1 trade. PGG still looking for Blood Gun, going to Kikoni, looking for the Impale. Impale connects. One more auto attack going to end the Magnus's life. And now PGG, in a bit of a pickle, is going to have some backup from the Jakiro, slowing down Poison as well as after that Ice Path. PGG tagged by the Wave of Terror, and now by the slow coming up from the Skyrath Mage. Silenced up, the Arcane Bolt's going to fly. There's a Stifling Dagger. They need one more Arcane Bolt, and he will fall after getting a 3-man Impale.
Well, Jakiro's still here, completely out of mana, but he does have ZXC in the area as well. Insolent going to try to phase through, and there is a creep, so ZXC is now blocked. And yes, he's completely walled off. The creep moves out of the way, but now ZXC trying to chase down Insolent. The blur, though, making so he misses twice, and now the Mystic Flare onto this Viper. Another Ice Path is going to be thrown, but everyone's still alive so far. Insolent rejoins the fight, and Viper is going to be dropped down. Bignum has not taken any damage this entire fight, but now it's his time to fall as well. There is Lion coming back in, and Poison getting hit with a dual breath, but Bignum is going to die first. Now Impale onto the Phantom Assassin is going to bring her down. Hawkeye still is going to survive, and I think that should be the end of the fight. If Komanda Minus had their Magnus rejoin the bottom lane instead of mid, maybe they could have continued and taken a little bit more, but and even after a 3-man coil, I'm pretty sure Komanda Minus get slightly behind in that fight. There were just so many mini fights, though. It's hard to really tell. If they had an RP, then things could have been so much different for Komanda Minus.
For sure. They were flirting with danger throughout the entirety of that. Everybody was on low HP on Komanda Minus for the majority of the fight, and Puck and Skyrath Mage are able to survive back into the base, but Phantom Assassin and Vengeful Spirit not so lucky. I think that does favor Moscow 5, although not drastically so. The Lycanthrope is the big winner in the gold department, but with another Blink RP available, Kikoni does have potential to set up some kills, and now Necroman farming the enemy jungle is going to be spotted out, and the Puck is going to break his smoke onto Necroman, pops his ultimate immediately, but is that enough to get him out of harm's way? He is Dream Cooled down to the ground. Necroman can do nothing but try and fight, and he will fall. Clean pickup on the Lycanthrope.
Yeah, that's, I believe, spotted by the Dire Observer Ward, so they knew exactly what the Lycan, where the Lycan was and what he was doing, and well, the Komanda Minus used the freshly restocked smoke, and it turns out to be yet another kill for them. Moscow 5 do end up taking the bottom lane tier 1 tower in the midst of that engagement, and now they're going to try to use Liquid Fire to take down the mid tier 1 as well. Blink forward for an RP, can land to Bignum. Kikoni's going to not continue onwards because of the support there. He's going to take a Viper Strike, and he will skewer out to safety. And I think that probably could have gone a lot worse for Komanda Minus, so they're going to be pretty happy that they got away from that situation with no casualties, but they do end up losing yet another tier 1 tower. 13 minutes in, and Moscow 5 taking 2 towers now with Liquid Fire. That's about where they want to be, and once Yule Scepter is completed by the Jakiro, they'll feel a lot more comfortable moving into aggressive situations like that because they will have self-sustained Ice Path initiations.
Even though they've taken those 2 towers, it's still an 1,000 gold advantage towards Komanda Minus, and once they take those tier 1 towers of their own, it's going to be swinging back into their favor. So Moscow 5, even though they have a decent amount of net worth under the belt, they can't really sit on this very comfortably, and experience is in the favor of Komanda Minus as well. Up in top, we are potentially going to have a jump. PGG has enough mana for Vendetta, but not a stun afterwards, so he's not going to be able to do much of anything.
It's going to be a slow push now from Moscow 5 using Liquid Fire, and Komanda Minus, they don't have an RP, not for another 50 seconds, so this is going to be a very tough fight for them to come ahead on, if they come ahead at all. Their tower is almost guaranteed to drop here just because of the Howl damage and the Nether Toxin, now the Wolves on it. So Komanda minus, the best they could hope for is probably Deny, unless Poison's going to get a swap in now onto the Viper, but the tower's going to fall, now Impale onto Poison. This Venge is going to go down. Mystic Flare going to do some pretty good damage onto the Viper, but another Impale on a Pure Evil from PGG and a Finger of Death to finish him off. Komanda minus lose the tower and lose 2 as well. That was probably just bad timing from the Vengeful Spirit. Swapping in as soon as the tower dies, not the best of ideas.
Yeah, it didn't really feel that that had much chance of success, and it's going to cost them both of their supports' lives. Magnus, in the meantime, is nowhere close. He's been farming throughout the meantime, and he is going to have his RP back up. Moscow 5 now with the mechanism, however, as well as the Eul Scepter, a lot of key items coming out for them, and they'll be able to continuously sustain this push. As you have already said, just being able to push down those tier 2 towers is going to be a lot easier for them. Unless Komanda minus get a huge teamfight initiation, they're going to be looking pretty good, and it seems that they're setting up for top lane. PGG does have that Vendetta as well as the mana for the Impale, so now going to be hunting behind the enemy tower. He's going to spot eyes on the Pulsar potentially, but it is nighttime. Swap on the sidelines. Eul Scepter immediately onto the Jakiro, however, he is going to survive, and now with an Impale on Insolent as well as Poison, Vengeful Spirit is going to be the first one to drop inside the Magnifier, is going to burn down. RP onto 2 after the Dream Coil. They're going to pull him outside of that Dream Coil, stunning them instantly. Necroman's trying to run away, but a Stifling Dagger crit's going to end his life. Another Impale coming out. It isn't going to land on anything but Kikoni, tagged by the Viper Strike, as well as subsequent poison attacks, is going to be chased down by the Viper. Next Assassin is going to be critted down by the Phantom Assassin, now pursuing Screen. Screen blocked off inside the trees, is going to fall. If nothing else, the Arcane Bolt. Hawkeye being focused by the Viper. Phase Shift, silence, but can't get away from that. It's going to be a 4 for 3.
And Insolent maybe thinking about rejoining the fight because Vengeful Spirit teleporting in now, and if they get anything onto ZXC, they will be able to lock him down and most likely kill him, but Poison a little bit too slow. It looks like that will be everyone else, or Poison, or ZXC rather, the only one to escape from that onslaught. The difference is night and day between Komanda minus fighting with and without RP. Having that with the coil on top of it and then snapping it with that skewer is the combo that I didn't really think of. I mean, it always is kind of bubbling under the surface. It doesn't really happen that often, so it certainly did quite a bit of work for them. And they also kind of initiated a little bit sloppily, just randomly swapping someone in, and well, then having a Moscow 5 kind of collapse onto Komanda minus. But just because they had so many ways of controlling the enemy side, because Insolent was able to duck in and then duck back out of those fights again, being a Phantom Assassin, pretty standard stuff there, she was able to put out some pretty nice damage, and Moscow 5 just missed a couple of impales, and that turns out to be the difference. So this time it is a fight that slightly benefits Komanda minus, but still they have to worry about this pushing from Moscow 5 because it pretty much will never stop, and their RP is going to be up again soon. And it's going to most desperately be needed because they're going to group up Moscow 5 and they're going to smoke out and probably look towards the bottom lane for someone or just straight push the tower.
Yeah. Vengeful Spirit was stalking the Lycanthrope with an Invis rune, but with no backup wasn't able to find anything. Now Venge on our tower might be under some trouble. PGG does have the Vendetta cooling down very shortly, but the smoke is going to pop beforehand. They find Evil as he's going to avoid that Impale by Eul Scepter. Now into the Ice Path Magnifier. It's not enough, and they get a 3-man RP, but with no follow-up. Now Insolent's joining the fray. Still not able to get any damage out, and everybody's surviving fairly effectively. Insolent taking a lot from this Viper as well as Nyx looking for a secondary Impale. Is it going to land? Insolent from long range is going to be dropped down to the ground. One more auto attack is going to do him in, unless Blur is too strong, but it's not. They will be able to get the coil, but the skewer is going to completely miss. Shockwave kills off the Nyx Assassin as the Viper and Lion are just awkwardly standing here. Buyback from the Phantom Assassin trying to get back into this fight. Currently 3 for 1, and Moscow 5 in. They're going to credit and dagger, blink forward with the puck. They get the illusory orb, jump forward. They will blow up. Poor Screen now slows on this Insolent and the secondary slow onto the Viper, trying to chase down ZXC with the drum charge, even silence. Viper can't really do much but watch himself fall, and he should be doing that, but not before taking out Hawkeye and juking towards the right. He's going to live. At least for now, they need to pursue out this Viper. He's going to be blunk on as well as Shockwave down. After all is said and done, I think it's a 3 for 4 plus a buyback, and it might not be over. Okay, yeah, Bignum's going to be able to make it out after one more Stifling Dagger.
And what an amazing RP from Kikoni, but what a disappointing follow-up from the rest of the team. Landing a 3-man RP and then a Mystic Flare on top of that is okay, but Mystic Flare really isn't that much of an impressive skill when it's being split among 3 heroes. Komanda minus really needed the puck there at that exact moment once the RP landed, but obviously that just wasn't going to happen. The Phantom Assassin also was in the area, but I don't believe she was empowered, or either that or she wasn't getting any crits. Either way, there was not that much AoE damage coming out from the PA, so as nice as that RP was, that was pretty much as good as you can hope for. you really need something to go on top of that RP afterwards. So Moscow 5 kind of catching a lucky break there, and they don't end up taking a tower because of it, but forcing out a buyback from Insolent is going to slow down his item progression by quite a bit. He could have a BKB right now.
Yeah, and that's just not going to be in the cards for him. He's going to get that BKB soon enough, and that's going to make him very hard to bring down for Moscow 5, but even once he gets that BKB, his damage still isn't going to be too great, even with Empower as well. Unless they get a beautiful RP, it's unlikely they'll be able to do much. Hex onto Pure Evil behind the tier 2 tower. Pure Evil is going to be focused down. The Dual Breath also following through. Scarlet Mage is going to survive through this, and they just don't have any further follow-up. Dreamcoil swapping to the Jakiro as the fight breaks out in the sidelines. 3-man Dreamcoil isn't going to net them anything as the Puck's going to die instead. Big Dumb, Magic Missiled up. Mystic Flare not going to be enough to kill off the Jakiro. Fairly tanky. Now they return onto Poison. Is going to be stunned. Impale to follow up, and as the drop down to the ground, Nyx Assassin picks up that kill. It's 2 free ones going the way of Moscow 5, even though Komanda minus commit several ultimates.
I don't really know what the Puck was thinking of doing there. He was all alone and really didn't have much hope of getting out of that situation. Landing a nice coil onto 3, but once again, Komanda minus are running into a problem of, great, we land a great team fight ultimate, but we don't have anything to do after that. And if you don't have anything to do after that, then those ultimates are 100% wasted. Puck giving his life and Vengeful Spirit sticking around a little bit too long to kill off a hero that's just a little bit too tanky, given the Yule Scepter and the Buckler armor. So that's going to be Moscow 5 taking 2 free kills, as you said. Now they're going to take a tier 2 tower as well. And because of these fights, they're just slowly going in favor of Moscow 5. Komanda minus are slowly starting to lose control of this game. They still have a slight EXP lead, but I don't think that's going to be the case for much longer. Gold lead now firmly in favor of Moscow 5 as they take so many towers, and Komanda minus have yet take one of their own, and that's not too surprising. They don't really have that many great tower pushers. The one tower that they may be able to destroy is the mid lane, but if that falls, then it's going to be denied for sure. So Komanda minus, they need to take a fight, and they need to take it with RP and with Puck's ultimate, landing and then having some follow-up. That's a tall order for sure, because Moscow 5 do have so many ways of kiting and disabling with ice paths and impales and spikes and everything. But now with the BKB on Phantom Assassin, she'll be feeling a lot more comfortable to just jump in and, you know, just see what happens. So maybe now it's time for Komanda minus to make some big plays and actually get rewarded for them.
Yeah, we'll just have to see if they're able to combo everything together. For Moscow 5, they now have a BKB on their Lycanthrope, so it's going to keep him mostly safe against the Puck. They still have some spells to go through BKB, but Lycanthrope, if he pops the BKB and his ultimate, he should be pretty free to roam around inside the fights and do his damage. Although not to the Phantom Assassin because of Blur, everybody else is going to be munched down very quickly. Viper also working towards his Agnum Scepter. Once he has that, kiting the PA is going to be pretty easy for them. Even though she has Blink Strike to sort of help, it's not enough, especially when you have that attack speed slow on top of it. Vendetta is going to scout out a handful of heroes, but PGG is going to be forced to back out. The rest of his team is smoked up, and they'll go into the Roche Pit.
This is probably the best time for Komanda minus to make some sort of play right now. They do not know right now that the Roshan is being brought down, although they should have a good idea. Puck previously scouted it with an orb, and they are right outside of the pit. Hawkeye needs to throw an Illusory Orb down there, unless they're going to give it up. Okay, Illusory Orb is going to scout everything out, and now he has an opportunity for a 5-man coil. Not going to take it just yet. RP, where is it? Insolent's the first one to jump in. Why is the PA jumping in first? She doesn't even have her BKB up just yet. Now the Mag doesn't have an opportunity for a coil. Hawkeye looking for one, and there's one onto 3, but where's the Mag? Kikoni way too far away. Mystic Flare is going to, for the most part, miss. Insolent's in the middle of everything, but only it's a 1-man RP. Now Insolent's going to take Finger of Death, and Komanda minus massively screw up that initiation. If they were a little bit closer, if they open up with the Mag, if they open up with that 5-man coil opportunity, everyone on Moscow 5 would be dead now. But instead, it's 2 down for Komanda minus, plus now a double life on Necroman.
Yeah, and even if you look at the fight in a vacuum, it's still one for Moscow 5. They kill off the Phantom Assassin, and that's a first issue BKB completely down the drain. It was just really sketchy. It felt like the Phantom Assassin went in thinking that the Puck jaunted to that orb and went for the Dream Coil, but that just wasn't the case. You need one of these other 2 heroes to go in first. Kikoni being stalked by PGG is not going to open up onto him immediately, but is just scouting things out. Keeping eyes on the Magnus is a pretty nice thing, and well, he found the Skywrath Mage as well. Going to open up into Pure Evil, lands the Impale onto Bolt. The damage will be there for the Skywrath Mage kill. Force Staff will keep Magnus safe, but the 2-2 tower down in bottom is not going to be so lucky, as with the Howl as well as Lycan's natural pushing power, it should be fairly easy for them to take it.
Now the mech to keep the creep wave up. With the Wolves of tank, this tower is guaranteed to fall, and to take a look at the mid lane, those creeps are actually very close to the mid tier 2 tower as well, so Necroman's not going to be participating in that one, but honestly they don't need him because they have Jakiro instead. This is going to be 2 towers, it looks like, down in favor of Moscow 5. And, well, really, Komanda Minus, this is the state of the game. They are now behind by quite a large margin as Kikoni teleports right into the middle of an Ice Path Macro Pyre plus an Impale. Insolent is going to jump in, but gets thrown into the air. No BKB used just yet. Now is going to use it to dodge a spike, but can he actually get anything? Crit onto PGG, doing quite a bit of damage. Poison has the detection, but they can't quite land it because he's stunned. And now Poison is going to get chowed down by Necroman. No, he's going to actually change his mind and go for Hawkeye instead. Still in the middle of the fight, will be brought down in a hurry. Puck now down. Kikoni looking for a skewer out potentially. He does have it available. Force Staff to the high ground. It looks like Necroman with the double damage won't be able to do quite enough damage. Bignum chasing into the tower. That's a little bold from him. He's going to set up for Poison, but it's going to cost him a lot of HP, maybe even his life, and he will go down. Necroman still looking for a reinitiate in. Kikoni has an RP, but he really can't use it because there will be no follow-up. And Komanda Minus, they just have to fall back. Pure Evil is now stuck behind this hill thing, and he's going to be very easily brought down. I think he didn't know that there was an observer ward there from the Radiant, so that's going to be yet another beneficial trade for Moscow 5. And hey, look at that. They're right outside of a tier 2 tower. They'll take that one up very quickly as well. Komanda Minus, they had such a great early start, but they just failed one too many times at these team fights. I mean, they had an RP, they had a coil. We didn't really see the effects of either of those.
Yeah, when they go off, usually it's just like a 1 or 2 man RP that doesn't have follow-up. The Dreamcoil, kind of a similar story. They land on a decent amount of heroes, but they just don't have the damage follow-up, and they don't chain the spells together. We kind of saw some sort of synergy with the Skewer out of the Dreamcoil, but we've only seen that once. However, Stifling Dagger, they jump into Necroman. He has the Aegis, and he's going to man-fight up against Insolent. Can't win that, and is going to lose his first life at the very least, but now with some backup, blink forward by screen. His Impale is going to miss, and now PGG going to open up into Insolent himself. There's an RP onto 3, and that one's going to be very nice. Necroman with his BKB as well as ultimate, probably going to kill off Kikoni before dying himself, is going to pop the coil, swap back, trying to stun him up. Necroman, his BKB has worn off, but his ultimate is still going. Necroman able to run pretty far away from here as Poison's burning in the fire and the flames. They will be able to burst down this Jakiro as the Vengeful Spirit's claimed it by Necromon in the backlines. Insolent trying to TP out away from the Viper. Not going to happen as the board doesn't block enough attacks, and now Pure Evil being focused by ZXC. ZXC is going to win that fight. Now Hawkeye in a similar situation. Illusion Orb is going to mean that he's taking a little bit less damage than the Viper, but still forced out of there as he just can't man fight up against him. And well, it's going to be 3 for 4. A lot closer than the previous trades, but still Komanda Minus coming out on the bottom.
If that fight happened, if that exact fight happened 2 fights ago, then Komanda Minus would be winning this game by quite a large margin. They got everything to come together. There was the RP, there was the coil. They even drew out the Aegis of the Lycan beforehand. But at this point, Moscow 5 just have a little bit too much. Like, Viper has a mech and an Aghanim Scepter. Like, this guy is impossibly hard to bring down right now, and we just saw it there. Komanda Minus are doing some decent damage still with their Phantom Assassin, but man, it's just a little bit too late to have a fight like that. They need to take a much better fight than that if they're going to be taking it in the future. And now Pure Evil is going to get jumped by PGG. Nyx Assassin with the devastating mana burn on a hero with so much mana and intelligence is going to bring him down in a hurry. Scarith Mage down yet again. Moscow 5, they're just finding pickoff after pickoff, and Komanda Minus, they had to take like the literal perfect fight. Otherwise, at this point, it's just not going to be enough. Or they could just hope for a Phantom Assassin to get really lucky with Blur and crits, which could also win you a game.
Yeah, that didn't happen last fight, and it's now going to start building into some pretty major damage, presumably a Basher for this Phantom Assassin. And once that comes online, especially once it's into an Abyssal Blade, Phantom Assassin is going to be doing quite a lot of damage. But until this point, Phantom Assassin, unless she gets a crit, can't really do much, and even struggling to take down these illusions unless she crits.
Yeah, she does have Empower working for her, so that's the synergy of Komanda Minus doing a little bit to help them stay afloat in this game. But now Blink in onto Insolent. Phantom Assassin going to take a finger, gets swapped out by Poison though. PGG going to close in with a Vendetta once again, but it will not be in time, and it looks like Insolent is going to live. That's Finger of Death down for quite a long time, 90 seconds on cooldown, but they're looking instead for Kikoni. Impale Manburger gets Force Staff down to the low ground, but it's going to be PGG to get silenced now. Kikoni looking for a skewer opportunity, but he's not even going to need it, although he does use it at the same time as Mystic Flare. Once again, a little bit of miscommunication from Komanda Minus, but it doesn't matter because they got the kill anyway. That Nyx Assassin down for 40 is going to make Komanda Minus breathe a little bit easier as they now take a couple of steps out onto the map, maybe looking for a little bit of dewarding, but I mean, this is pretty much the story of the game right here. Komanda Minus dropping 2 Sentry Wards right next to each other. That's just like miscommunication. That's been the name of the game.
Pretty much. As far as Moscow 5, they're still feeling like they have command inside this game and can take those team fights. And Komanda Minus, they just need to get those team fights a little bit tighter together and make sure that they get the ultimates off in the correct order, and maybe just open their mouths a little bit over TeamSpeak or whatever, just to make sure that everything comes together in the right order. Necroman picks up a heart for himself. It's not the item that I thought he'd go for. Honestly, I thought the Lycanthrope would go for an MKB first, but Monkey King Bar is probably in his future, and with this heart, he's going to be able to take down the auxiliary heroes on Komanda Minus very easily, unless they burst him down inside his ultimate with BKB, which is very difficult now with that extra HP.
Yeah, they have to get some pretty lucky rolls on Insolent, and they have to also lock him down with the RP, and also not have any of Komanda Minus's heroes drop in the meantime. It's a lot of things that have to go right for Komanda Minus now if they're going to kill off that Lycan. Maybe if they had a Aghanim Scepter on Puck. Oh, Kikoni. That's not where you want to be. Necroman is going to tear into him. Magnus down. Now he's going to chase forward, looking for more Hawkeye and Poison. In a little bit of trouble. Insolent in the meantime is going to assassinate PGG, but now he's going to get hexed by Screen. Impale to follow up is going to land to Poison because of the swap out, but Poison is going to be paying the price. That's a double kill for Necroman. It's still a 2-for-1 trade. Komanda Minus, they are now under siege because the hero that died is not really the hero that they needed to kill. Necroman and Bignum, the pushers, are still alive, and it's going to be a slow push down bottom lane, or maybe not so slow after all. They only have a coil. They have an RP in 30, but man, is that really going to cut it? Pipe is now up for Moscow 5, and this tower looks like it's going to drop very soon.
Yeah, definitely. That Phantom Assassin died mid-force staff to a Phantom Assassin crit, showing that she does have some damage. They jump in with the puck, get a triple Dream Coil. No fall, but do force the BKB out of Necroman. They stun up Kikoni immediately. No blink available. Now Hex down, focused by Viper Strike, and Lycanthrope the Finger of Death. They're going to kill the Magnus before he's able to get anything off, and that was a dieback, if I'm not mistaken, on the Magnus, and indeed it was. Tier 3 tower to fall, focus down the melee barracks with Necroman and his creep army as well as just that liquid fire. It's too much. Hawkeye hexed up is going to be swapped out by Poison, but the Lycanthrope's on the backlines. Stunned up, but this Lycanthrope doesn't care. Focused in the Hawkeye as the Phantom Assassin goes into the backlines, forced to TP out under the shadow of her tier 3, or where it once stood, and that TP is going to be cancelled. Insolent dropping quickly and will drop to ZXC's last auto attack, and this is going to be a clean lane of barracks going the way of Moscow 5 International.
At least one lane of Raxes. I mean, Puck is, or everyone else in Komanda Minus still fighting their hearts out, but it's not going to cut it with another 2-man Impale from Screen. Now a Hex onto Pure Evil. This is everyone minus the Puck taking a fall right now, and none of those heroes that are dead have buyback. Moscow 5, because they have a heart and Necroman, they can very easily slide to the mid lane, take that down, then slide to the top lane, and just fight Komanda Minus as they respawn. The team fight execution was really just the only error, I would say, in how Komanda Minus approached this game. It was so great for them for so long, but once they needed those skills to land, it just didn't cut it, and Moscow 5, with the pushing power, were able to take down towers. Take a quick look at the Radiant Tier 1 situation. They're all pretty decently healthy, except for the mid one, which is almost near death, but this is going to be a good game. Kikoni's going to land a very nice RP, skewering back into the tower, gets a kill for the road, but GG has already been called, and Moscow 5 International go up 1-0 over Komanda Minus.
Yeah, it was a pretty clean game from them. Those Earth Spikes as well as the Impales from Nyx Assassin and Lion landed consistently on more than 2 units, and quite frankly had a larger impact than the Dream Coil and the RP on the enemy team, even though the early portions of the game looked very grim for Moscow 5 after a couple of one-team fights. It's the exact opposite story that we see for Komanda Minus, and they'll take game 1.
All right, guys, this is a best of 3, so Komanda Minus have one more chance in order to bring it to a third game, but after this game, it's going to be a little bit jarring, I'm sure, for them. I'm sure they're capable of pulling it back, though. Maybe we'll see some Wind Ranger. Who knows? Thanks for watching, guys. HeflaTV Hitbox 1 will be right back with Game 2 between Moscow 5 International and K-.